welcome back to a new episode of your podcast, Digitalk Architects. With us today, we have Max Hayter from LinkedIn, actually. Max, please go ahead and tell us about you and your experience.
Okay, well, first of all, I live in Paris. I'm half French, half English, and half American to be. So I've got three nationalities. I've worked as an actor for 25 years, and now I coach and mentor people all around in kind of business and all kinds of different things. I was an acting teacher for about 10 years as well. So I've done quite a few things. There we go.
Very
I don't know
good.
if that's okay, but that's it.
Good. Of course, it's okay. So
Okay.
you have about 25 years worth of acting and performing experience where clearly every moment counts, right? What did that experience teach you about presence and performance that most business leaders completely overlook?
Okay, well, I did about 50 castings a year for 25 years. And to make a living, because I've got 3 kids, I'm married, I've got a couple of houses, and to make a living, I had to get about 10 of those. Okay, that was the average every year for 25 years. So better say than being present and being kind of good or whatever, that's not optional there. I mean, even when you're your best, it's not a sure thing. They're not going to take you even if you're at your best. So
Yeah.
it taught me to, well, relax, just have fun. I'll come back to that because that's an important thing. And people in the corporate world, they forget a little bit this kind of thing.
Right.
Meaning being too serious is a problem. And so having fun, being present, and really loving what I'm doing and giving my heart to what I was doing and just hoping for the best. But it's really taking a risk, going out there, specifically not doing what was expected necessarily.
Right.
If I did what was expected every time, I would not have made a living 25 years doing this job. No way. I had to do things that people were not expecting. That's how you get the edge, right?
What was one of the craziest things you did that somebody wasn't expecting you to do?
Wow. Get stripped naked. Why? Why it's like when it's me, and I say this, now the girls, they laugh, right?
It's unexpected. It is unexpected.
Expected. But it's something like that, or just doing it's just like, God, there is so many times that I had to do that. It's like, okay, very in concrete terms, you get a script, you get a scenario, you read it, and there's a very obvious way to play the part.
Right.
And 80% of all actors are going to play it that way.
Right.
So you have to find the angle. You have to find a way that, oh my God, no, I never thought. And now the casting director looking at it, I would never thought that you could do it that way. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
I think that's kind of like in business too, right? Like find the angle that nobody's expecting, right? And that's
absolutely
usually the winning formula.
Exactly. No, I would definitely think it's the same way. It's the same thing. Because okay, if you're doing what everybody else is doing, what's the point? You're basically, you have to compete in a world of your own. That was my idea. This is exactly the same idea I have as a mentor now and a coach or whatever. It's like what I do, no one else does, really. Not like me. Definitely. Okay. Right. Now, some people do other things differently. Some people do it really well and no problem. But like me, no one. Okay. And so there's that flavor, which is unique. It just, that's going to win the day. I mean, not every time you're going to get setbacks, but still, if you stick to that, I think you're onto something. And at some point it was getting interesting. And because, I had casting directors asking me how to do the scene after a while, right? Because even if they didn't give me a job, my angle, my way of thinking, my creativity, well, they went, oh, okay. So, I wonder what Max is thinking about this. Go figure.
So right? it opened other doors too, right?
Of course. Well, definitely in terms of credibility. I mean, at some point, even if they're not going to give me the job, they're going to call me for the job, for one thing, because, and they know that I'm a good actor and that I'm bringing something to the table. That's perhaps
Right.
something else to be said. What do you bring to the table every time? Are you
Okay.
bringing something? Are you giving something? Are you giving something of yourself? Are you bringing an idea? Are you bringing creativity? What are you bringing? Because you see, like actors, they're like people or like employees or whatever. They're thinking, what can I take? It'd be
Mm-hmm.
great if I got that job. Oh, if I'm in that film, it's going to be wonderful for my career. Yeah, but what are you
Yeah.
giving to the film? What are you giving to the film? What are you bringing? What? So it's not about you taking things; it's about you giving something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I.
Usually, yeah. Yeah, actually, you're right. And it's also, it's the same theory in business, right? It's not what you're taking, it's what you're bringing.
Yeah.
What can you give to then get something hopefully better in return, right?
Yes. Yes. And I think it's a mentality, and I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
mindset, and I think that a lot of people, and I've seen that in people I train or work with. They want what I have to give, but they
Yeah.
don't want necessarily pay the price for that. They don't want the change that comes with it, right? You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They want the reward without the danger, without the vulnerability
The
in a way.
risk.
The risk, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, you want to win the lottery without buying the ticket kind of thing.
Kind of idea, yeah. So, you and I had a couple of conversations prior to this, and one of the things that you talked a lot about was changing the energy in the room. What does that actually look like in real business settings? So let's talk, of course, we're talking sales, pitching, team meetings, all that kind of stuff that happens while you're doing business.
Okay. Well, changing the energy in the room gets the job done. If you're pitching, you,
Mm-hmm.
you're increasing, I would say, what, minimum 30% your success rate. I would say probably better more than 50% actually, if we want to be. But I would say definitely 30%
Okay.
because because one has to realize something. It's just so simple, but you you Carolina, and you are more interesting than what you say. As a
Okay.
person, there's more to you than what you're just saying at any given moment, right? Do
Right.
you see what I'm saying? Meaning that when you're like, for example, pitching or having an important meeting or public speaking and everything, people get affected by you as a person.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So if that is up to par and really aligned and really strong, obviously everything you're going to say is going to get better. Okay. It's like, I don't know if this is clear, but it's like for me as an actor, what I was saying about the casting directors. As an
Mm-hmm.
actor, not as a young actor, but as an older one, I would arrive and people knew I was already a good actor. Okay, great. I don't know, but at least very good. No,
Okay.
but it's because,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Let them judge it, right?
yes, yes. People who told me I was a great actor, I was paying them. So it
That's funny.
doesn't count. No, no, no. I know I was rather good. You see, results don't lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
When you get ten castings per year for 25 years, you're doing something right. It's not just me. It's
Right.
not if I'm good or not, but that's undisputable. Okay. When you make a certain amount of money, if your business is working in a certain way and you're making real profit and stuff, well, sorry. Yeah. Well, something is working. You
Yeah.
can prove, you can, So basically, my point here was saying that when you arrive and you have a certain credibility, then how can I say, it kind of people want to be with you. They're already convinced by the person you are,
Right.
and that gets results.
Okay.
And if you want to convince them and they want to be convinced by the person you are, you need something very simple. You need courage, you need truth, you need honesty. No bullshit. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, because people think they're in a certain way. People think
Mm-hmm.
they know things, but they actually don't. It's not connected to reality. You see, the impact is connected to reality. People
Right.
know. They don't rationalize it. They don't necessarily, they can't put a finger on it, but they get a feel about you, like an animal
Yep,
thing.
I agree.
And in casting, it's the same thing. Casting happens in the first 20 seconds. In the first 20 seconds, they know if it's you or not.
It's kind of the same thing as interviews with people. Yeah. I used to do a lot of interviews at one of my other jobs. I did almost all of the hiring for them. And I had the kind of like the same feeling, right? The first, 30 seconds to a minute was enough to say, to kind of build my perception of whether I was going to hire them or not, if that makes any sense.
It makes
They
complete
could
sense.
change it, but by then I had already pretty much gotten a pretty good
Yes.
idea of whether I wanted them in my team or not, which is crazy. And a lot of people miss that, right? Like they don't have that sense. I've had this conversation many times. Well, or maybe they ignore it, or I don't know.
So. No, I think they absolutely do. And I think they absolutely ignore it because they lack the confidence to listen to that.
Yeah, so I can tell you, if we're talking castings kind of equivalent to hiring, right? In my experience, while doing hiring, I can clearly remember there's two people I hired that I just knew that I was hiring them not for the feeling I had, but out of pure necessity. We were in a pinch, we needed extra help. The candidates they were the better candidates out of the pool of candidates we had gotten. But I knew in my gut that they were not the best candidate for that job, right? And so,
what could go wrong?
Well, actually, interestingly enough, yeah, exactly. What could go wrong? So we hired them. They started, but those were the two people that I had to eventually let go, right? And we had like very low turnover. And I think out of, at that point, we started that company from like nothing. So it was the owner, myself, and two part-time people. And then we started hiring. We built that up to 30 employees. I did the hiring for pretty much everybody, all the interviews, everything. And out of the 30 people, those were the two that I was more hesitant were the two that I had to eventually let go.
Sure.
So following the instinct, it's a big thing, right? Because the two times where I said, not ideal, but let's go with these two were the ones where eventually didn't work out.
You see, I think there's a little bit of a confusion here because I don't think that it was just instinct that told you, hey, it's actually you were getting the information.
Right.
You actually wired on receiving the info, but you just, for strategic reasons or whatever, well, exactly what the ones you said, you didn't go with, and obviously it's like the info is not going to go away. You see, that's what I'm trying to say about reality. It's like you cannot, or reality is just does not work. I mean, it comes and bites back, right? I mean, anytime. And I have to say that acting was fantastic for that because acting, you can't ignore reality. You do, you just don't get a job. I mean, it's just that, right? It's not like you can say, oh, let's try to bullshit. You can't bullshit. You can't fake it. You can't, even when you do.
Yeah. So, you're either good or not good.
Right. Exactly. And even when you give it everything, it's not enough. So you see what I'm saying? So you have to have some kind of ethic or work stuff, you have to be in a certain place, but it's great in terms of having to deal with things and having to adapt and having to grow and having to be positive and deal with your frustration and deal with the utter lack of respect you get doing that job. Like you would never do that in the corporate world. It'd be illegal. But they do like shit and don't care,
Yeah. On that note, let me ask you this question. So, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit to this, but a lot of founders and executives in the business world struggle with confidence, especially on camera, right? So, from your perspective, what's really holding them back, and how do you shift that quickly?
Well, quickly is a little tricky because confidence is a long-term game. It's a long-term game, and if you're not patient with that, I mean, you see, in a way, your question is misleading because it's like it feels like you want a quick fix. Okay, you want a quick fix to
Right.
kind of solve something, like one does in business, right? Or in acting,
Mm-hmm.
or in understand that, but it's like you don't want to do the groundwork. Groundwork is the relationship you have to yourself.
Okay.
Meaning the confidence is an inner thing. I don't know if this example is going to be any relevant to anyone, but I had an issue when I was a younger kid. I was the kind of guy, um, who would become best friends with the girl that he wanted to go out with. Did
Yes.
you see that kind of guy? That was
Yeah.
me. I mean, I was like so nice. I was a nice guy, sweet. I was, like, you know, and so,
Didn't they say
and so,
girls don't like nice guys?
no, I don't think so. I think they like nice
How does
guys.
that? What is it? I think there is a saying for it. It's like they don't marry nice guys. I think is what
Yeah,
it
they don't.
is.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what they kind of marry or not or whatever, but I think it makes sense. It's like, it's just at some point, I think they want uh, probably a guy to make. I was just too soft or whatever, too gentle. I don't know.
Too
I mean,
nice.
too nice,
Too nice.
nice.
Hmm.
Anyway, so few years later, I'm married. I'm over that. I got girlfriends. It's just, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? So it went on, and also, but at some point, I need to play the lead. I want to play the lead. I played Hamlet. I played in plays, but I want to play the lead in films now. Okay.
Hmm.
And I talked to my coach, and I said to that theater teacher, and he said, hey, I'm a little bit concerned because, I mean, I'm kind of with the girls. They don't necessarily see me as this kind of, you know, male kind of guy, like dangerous. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Or that kind of thing where the girls say, okay, let's watch out with this guy because
Yeah.
he's not nice, kind of thing. And he said, he said, yeah, I understand. He said, well, yeah, but he said that's not an issue. He says this is something you have to give yourself. And I remember that because I think that about confidence, it is something you have to give yourself. Confidence is not optional. It's probably one or two most important things in life. Because Carolina, what would you say the most important thing in life is?
There's so many. The most important.
Yeah, the
Oof.
most important.
I actually think love yourself. Maybe.
I would say love in general. Love,
Well. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
love, and I think that you're absolutely right. I think that loving yourself is love. I mean, let's
Yeah.
say if I love you, but I don't love me,
Hmm.
there's a problem, right? There's something not. You see,
Connecting.
no, that it's not
Yeah.
something not even, right? So
Yeah.
basically, people don't love themselves enough, but like not at all. Some people
Hmm.
actually, I live in France, right? So people actually hate themselves around here. Like it's like crazy. They're just like, it's like self-hatred. They should make t-shirts. It's like, oh, I hate myself. This is normal and fully accepted. It's like insane. So I was saying is that obviously the confidence thing is love for yourself. It's love.
Hmm.
You have to give it because it's the love that makes you strong enough to, take a risk. And taking a risk means that you're going to learn. And if you're going to learn, you're
Right.
going to get better. You see? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the thing about just the camera, it's like, well, you have to love the camera. And if you don't
Right.
like, it's very difficult to be any good at something you don't like to do. I didn't like castings at first. And of course, it was very difficult for me to get some. I mean, but once you start to kind of like enjoy and having fun doing it, then you're on a roll. And by the way, I stopped having the energy for that for some reason.
Hmm.
And then and so that's why I quietly stopped being an actor. because I didn't have it in me to go all the way. And what you see what I'm saying? Because it takes a lot of energy from you to do that.
To do the
I don't
castings.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, to do the castings.
Oh, I
I
can
don't
only
know.
imagine.
Yeah, it's because you have to learn all the lines. You prepare, and then you get like super disappointed, and then people treat you like crap, and then you have to like have faith to just say, hey, this is still what I want to do. All that, mentally, it's very, very competitive.
Taxing.
I think it's the most competitive thing you can do, actually, to be honest, acting,
Really?
because for every part there's like there's 100 people. There's not like, when I go for a casting for one part, they were like they're going to see 25 people, 30 people, but then they selected you from a pool of 250 already, right? And
So
then
you're selected from 250, and then you're in a pool of 100. And
it's
then,
a little less than that because they won't have the time. They select a
right.
little bit more, but yeah, they'll see about 30 people or whatever. That's why they have agents, the casting directors and everything, because you see what I'm saying? They make selection because they don't have the time to see everyone. But sometimes they
Right.
do. Sometimes they see
Right. Right.
2,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, like the big films, or if they're looking for something very specific. Anyway,
Right.
but just to say that for any job, there's a lot of people.
And I think that applies to business too, right? Especially now. There is a lot of people. So for any job, it's kind of the same thing as casting again, right?
Yeah,
You're auditioning, and you have to be better than, in many cases, I've seen job posts on LinkedIn that have like 1,000 applicants, right?
yeah,
And you have to be better than, 99.9% of them to even
yeah.
get
But
a chance, right?
how do you do that?
How do you stand out?
Yeah, no, how do you do that? How do you stand out from 99.9% of people?
That's a good question. Do we have an
That's it.
answer?
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, this is what I work on, but I'm just saying, guys who are listening to this, ask yourself that question. How do you do it?
So what would you be your answer?
It simply for me, it's about the ice cream flavor.
Okay.
Yeah, there's, I mean, Carolina, there's only one person like you. And
Right.
all from every person that ever lived before you and all the people who live once you're kind of dead and gone, there's going to
Yeah.
be one person like you. Not,
Only one. Yeah.
So that's specificity and what makes you unique. It makes you,
Yep.
you are unique. But the thing is that the problem is that people standardize themselves. They're like machines. It's like AI all over it. Like it's just they're let's say, to give you an idea, it's like you had the Mona Lisa, right? Because I live in Paris, so I have the Mona Lisa in the Louvre. But and so there's one Mona Lisa, but there's like whatever, 20, 30,000 copies of the Mona
Yeah.
Lisa, posters of the Mona Lisa, little watches or little trinkets with the Mona Lisa on and stuff, T-shirts, and you see, so the copies are like all over, but the Mona Lisa, only one.
It's only one.
Yeah. So what you do is that you work, well, hopefully with someone like me or whatever, but to just work on being that specific you, that person, what is it unique? What is unique about you? And how do you use those unique qualities? What do you do with them? What are you creating the work of art? So it's an individual thing, obviously, but you need an outside eye to actually do it. I mean, I was a good actor, but I could be a great actor as a director. The
Right.
direct seeing thing, there are things that a great director sees that even as a great actor you don't see.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
and then honestly, the 99%, like, forget it. You're you. There's, you see, and then okay, perhaps takes a little time, but it's unquestionable that you're
Right.
unique and special. Unquestionable. It's like, and this is when you come into the room. People know it. Exactly was the same kind of instincts you had when you knew that these guys, those two guys, it was not a good idea to take these guys. Same thing.
Right.
Okay, no. What's going on with this guy? See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but this is a little work though. I mean, it's always the same thing. I mean, are you ready to pay money for that? Are you ready to put the work, you see?
Yeah. So
I can't tell you how much I've spent on my training. You'd be amazed. I could buy a house.
yeah. You don't have to tell me. I've spent a lot on it too.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I know. Talking to you, that you're definitely that the same kind of thing. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying we have a certain mindset,
Yes.
meaning that
It's
we
very
understand.
unique.
Sorry.
It's very unique
It's
mindset.
not. It's not, it's a little bit unusual, meaning that we're ready to go really far to learn things, to grow, to. It's the inner, how do you say, vibe or intensity or need or
Mm-hmm.
thirst is very strong. And so,
Yes.
so we it's like when you're so thirsty you have to drink, right? So it's like I
Yep.
can't say to myself, hey, let's not learn anything today. Just like, okay, let's not eat. For
Yeah.
me, it is so clear that, and so I've accepted this is also my nature, and I accept as well that it's not everybody's nature.
Right.
But if those people listening want results, there's no 10,000 ways around it for results. You're unique. You got to make it feel, you got to own
You
it,
gotta be thirsty for
and you got
it.
to be free. Yeah, you got to want it. You absolutely,
Yeah. And go for
absolutely,
it, right? That's the
and
thing.
absolutely, because that's love, that's fun, that's life. It's a life force. It's great. It's great. And of
Yeah.
course, if you go out there like feeling tense and just wanting results, well, then you're gonna be miserable, and miserable is not working. Miserable doesn't bring
Doesn't
out.
attract good energy.
Absolutely not. And it just doesn't. So
Right. Yeah.
I've had 10,000 reasons to be miserable. And sometimes, to be honest, I've been miserable. It's okay.
Of course, we all have had that at one
Yeah.
point or the other, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
it's unavoidable. But I do agree. It's like it's attitude. You like we said it. What you bring and the energy you bring to the room. Because in the face of adversity, how you react to it tells a lot about you and your character, right? And so if you're constantly down, that doesn't say much about you and your character. If you're positive and you face your problems with courage more so than with negativity, I think it does change the perception of you.
Absolutely. And this is so true what you're saying. So profound. I think very, very profound, because I would even step it even more than what you're saying. We're gladiators.
Right.
Gladiators, meaning, whatever comes at you, bring it on. Bring it,
That's right. Yeah. I
right?
have a solution. It might not be pretty, but I'll find it, right?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, no, but I think it's a it's a thing. I don't think I've been so. I mean, the best I've been was when people said, "This is you're done, you're finished," and then then there's something that comes out and just say, "Oh right, well, game on now. Let's check
Yeah.
this." Not accepting just what people are saying, because people they say whatever they this or that, or according to what they believe, or
Hmm.
biases, or
Right.
their bigotry, or whatever. They
Right.
they don't. I mean, I have to say that for me, also it's about the truth, and it's about showing things, and it's about no questions asked. you know at some point, my job as well, the acting was really great for that, because it's like at some point you're going to be so good they're going to have to take it.
Yeah.
It's not like they can't say, "Oh, I don't like that guy." Well, yeah, but he's really good. It's like
Well,
last.
yeah, and that's just it, right? Like you might not like me, but if I'm good at what I do, then you have no choice but to take me, right? I'm gonna switch it because you said something earlier, and I want to kind of switch a little bit to that topic. You said so for business owners, and I mean in general, it's really hard to stand out because there is so much noise out there, right? And this kind of has multiplied by 1,000 with AI in the world we're living in. What are a few practical ways that they can build real authentic presence that actually converts into trust in business?
Wow, it's a difficult. Well, what can they practical things they can do to convert into trust is, well, one, we've said this before, trust yourself, really. Love yourself, trust yourself. Second, trust what you're serving. What are you serving? Are you, obviously, hopefully you're serving your clients, you have a team with you, whatever, but what's the more general, where's the love? Really, where's the love? Where's the love? Where's the authenticity? So what are you serving? What are you values? What are you ready to die for? What's really important for you? And these things you need to have in your heart and in your body and be completely aligned with that. And if you do that, then definitely use AI to do things we talked about before this recording about what can be done very usefully with AI. And so, and then anything is a tool, it's serving you. What people need is more connection to themselves, more connection to other people. And this is definitely the case in business, okay? I mean, obviously, I was in acting for years, and in acting, it's all about that. I mean, if you don't connect with an audience, you don't connect with a director, you're just, it's just...
You're not getting it.
Nothing. There's nothing there, just go back. Watch Netflix, whatever. So in business, you need connection. You need a team. You need people to go to war with, to fight with. And you need, if you're like, let's say the business owner, the founder or something like that, the leader, you're giving the direction. You're the one who has the vision. You need a vision of what you're serving, where you're going for, what you're ready, you see, and then the business, the other things are consequences to building something.
Right.
Perhaps I don't know if this would be understood by people who are in business, but guys, ladies, start being artistic. Really.
Okay.
Really artistic, meaning it's like you're trying to create a work of art, not just trying to sell things. If you're creating a work of art, you're creating relationships, you're creating a world, you're creating interconnections, you're creating people who will associate with what you're bringing because they want to be part of it.
Right.
That's a work of art. And if it's just like business and KPIs, and oh my God, it's like you're missing it. I think you're missing the point. That's my take on it. But you guys might know best.
On that note, so now we'll continue on this.
Yes.
So we're creating a lot of content, email presentations, sales material using AI tools, right? Where do you think AI can support well, right? And where does it risk stripping away the humanity that actually creates the connections?
Well, I think that stripping out the humanity, I think it's like a machine cannot be human. It's not. The essence of a machine is to be a machine. The essence of humanity is to be human. Now, the problem is for me, not so much the machine. Machine is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's the human which is turning into the machine. Okay. That's a problem. So basically, this is a new tool, and there's loads of ways, and it's just getting started, and we're going to use it more and more and more, and it's going to save time. And I think that everything which is I think basically, if anything, with the AI, we're going to become more human because the value of humanity is going to become more of a currency. I think it's already
Right.
massive. Because, for example, from when I started coaching or training people in the corporate world, soft skills were, yeah, they were like there, but not like
Less appreciated.
yeah, it was like it's okay. Oh yeah, or it was around sales.
Mm-hmm.
How to be a good salesman, because then of course like to be a good salesman you need to connect, about things like
Right.
that. And as it went on, it became kind of more and more important, and now it's like it's what it's almost all about. And with AI, the whole
Mm-hmm.
mechanicity of what people had to do is going to go. Okay, and you're only going to have the value of the human skills you have. And then we go back to what I said early on about being the goddamn Mona Lisa and not the copy. Do you see what I'm saying? Because if you
Yeah.
become the Mona Lisa and the AI has mechanized absolutely everything, then you're becoming central, you're becoming crucial.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to go on more and more. So I think, friends, it's not optional to work on yourself. It's not optional to grow and to understand you. To love yourself is a strong thing, but at least appreciate yourself, grow in confidence, grow in accepting your vulnerability in order to do what you have to do and to create the world we all want to live in as well, because that's another thing. We need to, I mean, I'm getting an age, I have children who are grown up now. And so, okay, what is this world we're living to our kids? I mean, are we okay with that? Well, there's a
That's a hard question.
lot of things I'm not okay with. So I'm just saying, at
I
least
agree.
on my end, I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I'm doing stuff. I'm talking to people. I'm changing their lives and everything. And I mean, I'm changing their lives. So it sounds very arrogant. It's like they're changing their lives, but I'm, at least
You're
helping.
contributing.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm at least forwarding something, what I feel is positive, because
Yeah. Yeah.
making people realer, fuller human beings. So let's just do that. Have to do that.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I think that's actually a really good message to end it,
Okay.
right? So thank you, Max, for coming out and spending this last hour with us and for your advice in how to act in this world and
Well,
in business, right?
yeah, I like, and I think I like the parallel you did between the artistic and the business. I think it's very. I've seen exactly massive similarities, massive, and just like for people listening, you can do this. Really, really trust yourselves because you can do this. If you're listening to this, you're already on the way. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, own it. Own being on the way. It's a great privilege. It's a fantastic privilege. I mean, there's something to be said about a certain life of adventure on that
Mm-hmm.
aspect. Okay, because growth is an adventure. You don't know what's going to happen, but it's really really good, and you need the joy, the confidence, and the love. So yeah, hope you have fun doing this.
Perfect. Thank you, Max. Thank you again. For everyone, thank you for being here with us. We will see you in the next episode of Digitalk.
Okay. Thank you, Carolina. You've been amazing. Thanks.
Take care. All right.